Welcome back, everybody. JumpX podcast, episode number 42. Again, we have a very special guest. I would say probably the most prominent and well-known low rim dunker in the world. I would say in the dunking community, Mr. Jacob Ewan.
Yeah.
What's up? What's
Yeah, so it's like 10 p.m. there for you right now. Literally 12 hours.
yeah, 12 hours yeah, behind. Yeah, 'cause it's like Friday for you guys, right?
That's crazy. So this guy's committed for for you all guys. So that's commitment.
Better listen. You
Okay.
better listen to what he has to say.
Right?
They better listen to what he has to say.
Yeah. So basically today we're going to be talking about essentially the value of low rimming and how much value it can bring to your training as a dunker and even to improve and increase your vertical jump as well. And yeah, Jacob, very prominent low rim dunker, very good at it as well. It's helped a lot of
Oh, I
guys.
appreciate it.
Yeah, it's helped a lot of guys within the community, hit certain trick dunks and improve their abilities in that sense. So I guess we'll start off talking a little bit about your background and your age and how you started.
Sure. So what's up, guys? My name is Jacob Yoon. I'm currently 19 years old. I'm 5'8", currently located in Tampa, Florida, in the United States. So the way I got into low rimming or like dunking in general was just watching Jordan Kilgannon and Isaiah Rivera, Connor Barth, Dan Gross. Those are like the four big guys that I saw on Instagram and YouTube when I was like 16 or 17 or something like that. Um, and I saw all the dunks that they were doing on like a 10-foot hoop, and I was like, man, this is so cool. Um, so I would just go out of my driveway, and I'd like lower my rim down to like 7'5" to like 8 feet, and I would literally just replicate and try all the dunks that they did for like 5 to 6 hours, 8 to 9 hours every single day.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where my obsession with dunking started. Was just seeing the pros out there and then just trying to recreate all the dunks that they did. And this was during COVID, like 2020, when all the COVID stuff happened. So like I was just doing everything in my driveway. I didn't like record anything or post on social media because I didn't know that was like the dunk community was a thing. So then, once gyms started opening back up, I have an adjustable hoop in my gym back at home. Uh, so I thought why I've low rimmed so much because I have access to it, and I realized like here living in America, America's very big. Um, Finding gyms with adjustable hoops is actually very hard to find. So I was really grateful in the sense to have a gym that has adjustable hoops and I can adjust them anytime. So it's like that's kind of another reason why I do it so much and how I've been able to do it a lot. So yeah, I guess that's kind of my background with it. Um, I guess another reason why I also do it a lot is recently I've been getting injured a lot. Just a lot of stuff with like my Achilles tendonitis, patella tendonitis on my right knee, and like back issues and whatnot. So I've been kind of injured throughout like the whole summer and like had like pain here and there. And I feel like low rimming is also really good for just like pain management and because it's like less force than like jumping on a 10-foot rim and
Mm.
like the landing. So it's like it's not as taxing on the body, I feel like. So it's like that's like another reason why I also do it. So I guess it's like a long story of why I do a lot of low rim dunking. Plus it's a lot of fun.
You sound like you're in the same situation as me right now. Achilles, knees, and I literally have all the same injuries,
Yeah,
right?
I'm like starting to get back. I've been doing like a lot of isometrics and recovery stuff recently, so it's like I'm starting to get healthy again. So now I'm starting to do more like maximal effort jumps on like taller hoops now. But low rimming is still, even if I'm not injured, it's so much fun and there's so much benefit to it that like I I like, that I just want to do it. It's just a lot of fun.
Well, let's get into that. Let's get into that. So, what do you feel the main benefits of low rim dunking are?
To me, it's a lot about hand speed and coordination. Um, so like in low rim dunking, obviously, since the rim is lower, you don't need to jump as high to dunk. So because you don't need to think about how high you jump, you think more about the cues of doing a certain dunk. So for example, let's say I'm doing, I don't know, like a really difficult dunk like hide and seek, right? I don't think about like, oh, I need to jump high to hit hide and seek. I think the cue. So like for me, it would be like swinging my arm up, making sure that I cuff the ball really well, swing out my arms all the way up, and then throw a soft pass behind my back, and then like move my shoulder out of the way so that the ball can go past my shoulder like this, and then whip my left hand around so I can get really my hand on top of the ball so I can dunk the ball. So it's like that's obviously a lot of cues for just one dunk. And hide and seek is one of like the hardest dunks like ever. So it's like if you don't need to think about jumping high, it's like you just think about those cues. And just thinking about those cues that helps develop like technique and like a rhythm and also consistency. So
Yeah.
I feel like that's like the biggest benefit of it. It's like just you develop coordination. Like for example, like I taught this one guy recently here. His name is Demetrius, by the way. I taught him how
Yeah.
to do a double up dunk recently.
I saw that.
And even though I yeah, even though I haven't hit, I've been really close to hitting it on like a regulation hoop. I haven't hit it on a regulation hoop, but because I've done it so many times on the low rim, I already know like all the cues to hitting that dunk. So this guy, Demetrius, he has like a 44-inch jump. He's never hit this dunk. But since I know the cues and since he has the hard part of having a tall vertical out of the way, it's like I can just teach him the cues and the technique of it. And just like that, when I taught him how to do it, like he hit it in 2 tries. So it's like it just teaches you a lot about just how coordinated you should be, because I see so many guys who have like really high verticals, but their coordination's like so off. And I can just tell by looking at them they haven't done the hand speed work or the low rimming yet. So
Yeah.
that's like the main thing I see with it.
That's such a key. Like people will be surprised how low you can get away with jumping and still hitting certain dunks,
Hmm.
just through being
Yeah,
crazy efficient with like technique. And I know you can see
right. And
this,
like,
Tom, as well.
oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, so like going back, yeah, like talking about like being efficient, it's like I know like Smooth, um the 1 foot guy from Ukraine.
Training.
He doesn't like Smooth honestly doesn't jump all that high, but because of the fact that his technique is so good and his hands are so quick, he can make so many dunks by having like not the highest vertical jump. Um like I have literally seen videos of Smooth where like he does like an East Bay off 1 foot and he's finishing the dunk like as he's still jumping up. Like that really shows how efficient he is with his hands and
That's
how quick his
that's
hands
actually
are.
really
It's
that's
honestly
actually
really
really insane.
it is he has some of the quickest hand. I think he has the quickest hands out of like any dunker in the world, I think.
Yeah.
And he's he's getting slightly older, but he's still doing like FIBA contests and he's still able to keep that pace because like your hands don't slow down. It's like your athleticism gets like kind of it like declines as you get older, obviously, right? But like your hands are always going to be there, right? And since Smooth already had like the quickest hands in the world, he even though he's getting older and his athleticism is like declining, he can already finish like a dunk super easily because he's so
Yeah.
efficient.
I would
And
say,
yeah, go.
man,
Yeah, go.
say I would put Chris Staples up there as well as someone who's got good hand speed.
Yeah, I agree with. Yeah, I was
Especially
about to say that as well. With Chris Staples, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, like what's been your experience, Tom, with that? Because I know you've had a lot of breakthroughs recently hitting behind the back and all that. And like especially like your backboard dunks, like you starting to hit dunks now on really bad days of jumping, right? That you could only hit on really good days of jumping before.
Yeah, like even at dunk camp or maybe even a couple months before, I could only dream of hitting a backboard between the legs. I'll just use that as an example. And the second that I threw like one good lob when I was just having like an average day, and I like caught it and I could like get it between my legs, it kind of like clicked in my head that it's not actually that much harder than normal between the legs. Like assuming you get the lob in the exact same spot off the backboard, in theory it shouldn't be that much harder. So it's getting to the point where I can almost hit it on like any given day that I'm having a dunk session, which it's not like I'm jumping fucking 5 inches higher. It's just my technique has just gotten better
Yeah,
and quicker. Like, yeah.
100%. Like, you know, what's the time where I really realized this as well? It's like when the first week we came back from dunk camp, right? And I was jumping, like, to be honest, like looking back, like very average, right? And I hit a backboard windmill, right? And I'm looking at the clips, and I was jumping far lower on that day when I hit it than the first time I hit it. The first time I hit it, my head was like an inch or two away from the rim, right? And I only just like rim grazed it in, to be honest. And I wasn't even like a full rotation. But then when I came back from dunk camp and I hit it, my head was like far below the rim, but I still hit it. Like it still kind of rim grazed a little bit, but the rotation and everything behind it was so much better, even though I was jumping far lower. And that just kind of really highlighted in my head how important like technique can be, and how efficient, how like just being efficient, it can do wonders, for you actually hitting dunks. Or like how low you can get away with jumping too to actually hit certain dunks as well. It's actually crazy. Like people don't realize, even just like finishing technique on dunks, like how you kind of roll the ball up through your hand into your fingers, and obviously it's not going to be like a hard dunk, but you know, you can still finish dunks, like crazy trick dunks in that sort of way. And I
Same.
know, I know you know what I'm talking about, Jacob.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Because it's like when I lower him, it's like, am I getting my hand like underneath the ball or am I getting it like on top? Like, what's a good dunk that I can?
Behind the back,
So
right?
I guess I'll go back to what's up?
Behind the back's a good example where you have to get your hand under when you're putting it behind you, right?
Yes, I was gonna go back to hide and seek because it's like for hide and seek, it's like you're throwing the ball behind your back and then you're like you need to like track it like as it comes past your shoulder like this. So it's like I noticed like with hide and seek, the difference from like back rimming the dunk versus making it is like really, really big. Because I've been trying that dunk on like 8 feet for about like a year and a half. And I didn't make it until like 2 weeks ago, basically, for the first time. And I noticed that and for those like for like 1 year straight, I was just back rimming that dunk every time. And I think the reason why is because since you're throwing the ball behind your back and it's going forward like this, if I like if I like hold the ball, wait, I'm not sure if you could. If I like hold the ball like or like catch it like in front like this, I'm just pushing that ball like more forward,
Yeah.
right? But it's like if I really think about getting my hand on top and then like actually push it down through the rim, then that's like all I needed to make that dunk. So it's like you're right. It's like you can like think about like different kind of like hand placements on the ball to get better at finishing because obviously the more you can get like on top of the ball, the higher chance of the dunk actually going in because it's like you're just pushing it down. Whereas like if you have your
Yeah.
hand under, you need to you need to like flip your hand up like this in order to get your hand up, right? So it's like you can like experiment with it because I know someone like Dom Dunks. Like when he does his like lob one handers or his like slingshots, he like catches it like this and he like flips it over like this so that he can really get on top of the ball, right? That's something I noticed that he did and something that he's done since his like low rimming days. And he's a really good example of like low rimming really translating to like 10 feet.
Yeah.
Um, but I know like for myself, like I could never do this for some reason. So it's like I need to catch it more like kind of like in the middle, but slightly on top to like really finish a dunk or get close. So yeah, so Austin, you're definitely right in the sense that like you can try different ways of like catching the ball the finish to be like for the finish to be better, I guess. So yeah, I just think
Well,
hide and seek was like a good example of like
I've,
finishing being hard for me.
do you think, in theory, if someone was really, really, really technically good at the hide and seek, or Austin
Mhm.
Power, whatever. Do you think that would be easier to hit than a between the legs in terms of how high they jump?
Ooh. Um,
Yeah.
Truth is, I feel like hide and seek, if your technique is literally perfect, I think you can touch 10'5" and like make that dunk. Because
Hmm.
because if you think about it, it's literally like if you can get like a really good arm swing and like throw that pass like absolutely perfectly, like this is the rim and like the ball goes like right here, so you just like slap it in basically. Like I think yeah, it probably is because you have less moving parts with your hand and you're more relying on the toss, right? So so I feel like there's like less variables with your hands. So I feel like that's why I'd say hide and seek. Yeah, you can probably get away with making that dunk with a lower vertical
Okay.
than East Bay, but you need to like your technique has to be like absolutely perfect with like how you throw that pass and how you catch the balls.
It's almost like the same with windmill. Like I would argue that if you can hit a basic one-hander, right, off dribble, you can like windmill off dribble as well.
If your technique is good, because like windmill, it's like
Yeah.
you really need to think about like pushing that ball down with your like left or right hand or whichever hand you're trying to use. So it's like if you're like efficient at doing this, it's like yeah, it's not much different than a one hander because a one hander you're just like pushing the ball up like this. Windmill, you're just like pushing it down. I think you still need a little bit more vert to hit a windmill compared to a one hander off the dribble. But like if your technique is really good, I think that increase of vertical you need like 0.5 of an inch.
Yeah. Like it's barely anything. Like when I say one hand, I don't mean like ring raise one hander, like punch one hander.
Oh, punch one? Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. No, not ring raise one hander. No way. No, but I think that's a one key thing, you talked about earlier and we talked about earlier. It's the fact that all the best dunkers in the world at the moment, right? All of them started off doing an excessive amount of low rimming. Like look at a guy that's just popped up recently, Donovan Hawkins, you know. His story
Mhm,
was he started off low rimming crazily, frequently, and then one day he
mhm.
just went on a 10-foot rim and then could do all those dunks, in the same sort of way. It seems like
Yeah,
everyone
and like,
crazy at dunking started off doing that, and I think this is why
yeah,
there's so much value in low rimming. And if you're young listening to this right now and you want to be good at dunking, but you can't yet dunk consistently on a 10-foot rim, then you need to get outside, get access to a low rim and start low rim dunking, and that doesn't mean just not maximally jumping, but still trying to jump maximally while you're low rim dunking, but you know, at a level where you can practice all these dunks.
yeah. I feel like, yeah, also like another good example is Dom Gonzalez. He's like I've watched that guy since he was like doing one-handers like consistently on 10 feet and like still doing like those low rim dunks. And like ever since he hit East Bay off the lob for the first time, his like progression as a dunker just like boom, it just like sky because that guy would dunk on low rims like all the time. So his technique was like perfect,
Yeah.
right? Like if anybody's watching this, I'd highly suggest you check him out. His Instagram tag is dom.dunks. He you could like scroll down all the way to his like and it's literally just him doing slingshots on like an 8 foot rim at like 12 years old, basically. Like he's been jumping his whole life and just working his way up. And because of that, like he has a 7'3" reach and like hitting East Bay off the lob like consistently. So it kind of shows like what kind of technique you can build at an early age and like how you can increase your jumping ability at an early age just by doing like low rim dunks.
No, absolutely. Like, what's the process, Tom, for you? Like, if you're trying to hit a dunk for the first time that you've never hit before, you don't really know how to hit.
Mhm.
What's the process for you, Tom? And then we'll go.
All
Yeah.
right. So, all right. So my process is really, really unique actually because I feel like it's really different compared to probably any dunker in the world right now. But And I know this sounds so crazy, but like 95% of my dreams, like in my sleep, are just me thinking about dunk ideas, basically. So like I'd like go to bed and like in my dream, I'll just think about like ideas on different dunks and whatnot. And like I think I made a post about this really early in on my Instagram. And I talked about how like in my dream I think I can create about like 1 to 200 ideas. But when I wake up, I probably only remember like two of them or like one or two of them, right? And when I wake up, I'll just like write my ideas down on a notebook or like a spreadsheet. And then I would obviously whenever I get the chance, I'll do those dunks on a low rip, right? And I feel like sometimes like when I really think about like one dunk in my sleep, I can and I feel like this is how I learned how to like lucid dream on command. It's like if I think about like one dunk in particular, like I can really like in my sleep just like imagine myself doing a dunk session and just thinking about all those cues on how it can work basically, you know? So I'm like, so it's like when I have these imaginary sessions in my dreams basically or in my sleep, and like I just think about cues then it's like I already know what's like I know I have a general idea of like what how I want to approach it. So it's like when I go to a session, I try it and I'm like, oh, this worked out really good. Or oh no, this didn't really work out good, you know? So then it's just kind of like, and if it worked out well, then then obviously I go and hit a dunk and probably post it on Instagram. Or if it doesn't, then I usually try to think about about other dunks that I've hit that are kind of similar, if not have parts or have like similar parts to like other dunks, and then like think about how I do them. So for example, let's say I'm trying to hit um like Christ Air inverted scorpion, for example, right? So Christ Air inverted scorpion I made back when I lived in Arizona in 2020, early 2023. Um, So basically just Christ air, like split the arms and then go upside down like this. Um, so the way I would approach that is like the two dunks. It's like inverted scorpion and Christ air. So Christ air, I noticed for me, having the ball really cuffed into um is like the way I make that dunk. It's like because sometimes when you like go like this with your arm, it's like the ball comes out. So it's like I really need to think about cuffing it and then really extending my arms out. Because sometimes I'd like on Christ airs, I'd like have my arm like this, or like sometimes it'd be too down or too much like this rather than straight. So I think like straight like this, and then inverted scorpion, which is like upside down like this. And my biggest cue for inverted scorpion is like duck down and then hold the ball the whole time because if I let go of the ball too early or if I think about dunking, like dunking the ball on that dunk, it's like I just end up grabbing the rim, the ball goes flying off the backboard. So it's like I need to like think about really cuffing the ball into the rim. So it's like I combine those two cues, like split the arms sideways like this rather than up, and then cuff the ball all the way into the rim and duck down. If I combine all those cues together, then it's like that's kind of like how that's how I make the dunk, right? So it's like if I in my sleep, if it didn't go out as expected, then I try like going back to the drawing board of more simple dunks and just try deconstructing each dunk piece by piece.
Yeah,
I like
no,
that.
for sure. So what about if someone's trying to hit their first dunk? Because I'm sure a lot of people listening to this are like trying to hit their first dunk. All right. Like what are common mistakes a lot of guys make when they're trying to hit their first dunk? Because I know like key ones are like grabbing the rim too much, not flicking the wrist down enough, things like that.
Yep. So yeah. Okay. So I guess I can start with myself because I feel like I made a lot of mistakes when I was trying to get my first dunk, and I feel like those mistakes are really piling up on me now. So back when I like first started trying to dunk, which is when I started playing basketball, and this was before I even knew that low rim dunking was a thing. I'd always go and try like touching the rim, grabbing the rim, and I just like repeatedly just did this basically, And I feel like that developed so many bad habits. And I remember like the day I touched the rim, I was like, oh my God, let's go. I touched the rim, right? I was so hyped. I throw myself a lot and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go for it, right? And I was nowhere near close, right? It just looked like a layup. So, and I feel like I tried way too many dunk attempts when I was only getting like this much above the rim that like I built so many bad habits. And like as I started going more like down and down like here, I kept I kept grabbing the rim and like pushing the ball forward rather than again like what you said, flicking your wrist down, right? Like you look at like my Instagram right now, like my most recent dunk attempt, I literally missed it. I didn't flick my wrist down. I just pushed the ball too forward, right? So so because of that, my dunking consistency on a taller hoop absolutely sucks, right? So it's like I'm those bad habits that I had like really, really early on when I was like 17 or 16 when I first tried dunking on a legit hoop, it's like all building up to me now, right? So if I had to go back in time and I had to do this all over again, is I would find days like one jump day, I would have it would just be like a really low hoop, like eight to like 8'7", right? Have like a hoop there, and then just try doing like again like trick dunks or dunks that are like new, because that way you can push your body to try like new things out. And by trying new things out, you can sometimes just jump higher because it's like not used to doing something new, right? So like that'll be like one jump day. And then the next jump, and after I do all my lifting and whatnot, like um for like I'll take like 3 days of lifting and like one rest day. The next jump day, I like find a rim height where I can make like a one-hander or two-hander at 80% effort, and I'll just practice dunking on that rim height because that way you're not only just practicing maximal or like almost maximal jumps, you also practice actually getting the ball into the hoop in this fashion because on like an 8 foot hoop, I can just like put my whole elbow in the rim like this, and that's like different than just going like this. So it's like because I haven't trained myself to really practice this, um, that's why my dunking skill is not the best on like a taller hoop. So that's why I'd suggest also um to like younger guys and to my younger self to like practice dunking on a hoop where I can make like a one-hander with like 80% effort. So I can just practice this and practice maximal effort jumping. And then as I get better at that, like I'll just naturally just raise the rim up as I jump higher, basically. And then soon when the time comes, I'll be getting my first dunk on 10 feet, or you'll be getting your first dunk on 10 feet because you're already practicing jumping high with maximal 10, and you're also got this motion unlocked, so then it becomes really easy, you know? So I think that's kind of how I'd approach things if I were to do this all over again. And that would be my advice to a lot of people who are trying to get their first dunk.
Yeah, no, for sure, bro. Like, cause like I see people that are easily jumping high enough, but they're just missing dunk after dunk after dunk after dunk, and it's just because they don't have that finishing technique in place. And if they just
Mhm.
learn to essentially flick their fingers down, flick their hand down, try to push the ball down into the rim instead of over the rim, right? That's a huge key
Yep.
there. There'd be so much more consistent at dunking. And the other thing is, a lot of guys try to like punch their first dunk, right? That's like
Yep.
almost kind of that's like trying to sprint before you can walk, right?
Yep. Exactly. Yep.
Like
Hmm.
just you don't need to punch your first dunk because you obviously just want to hit your first dunk. So just hit your
Hmm.
first dunk, get that out of the way. You know, if it's a soft ring graze, then cool, you know, that's progress, you know, and then as you start
Exactly.
to
And
jump
that's a
higher
dunk.
and higher and higher, yeah, you know, then start to work on, you know, hitting it better, hitting it a little bit harder, a little bit more style, right? But one step at a time. And the other thing is like guys that obviously it's a really exciting thing if you can grab the rim for the first time, but that's something you need to be super mindful of because you don't want to
Yep.
start to build
Hmm.
that into a habit because if you start to build that into a habit, that's gonna hold you back for so long, you know, even if you're jumping high enough to hit your first dunk. Like we've trained guys that we've easily got jumping high enough to getting their hand above the rim, but they just have such a habit of like grabbing the rim that holds them back for months, literally months from hitting their first dunk when we know they're easily jumping high enough to hit their first dunk. Because what happens is
Yeah,
they throw
that's
up, right? And instead of going for the ball, they have the habit of going for the rim and then grabbing the rim. And you see
yep.
it, right? Like they
That's
love the
literally me
ball.
right now, honestly.
Yeah, they love the ball. They go up and jump, right? And then completely miss the ball and then they grab the rim and they're not focused
Yep.
on the ball, right? And the other thing
Mhm.
is the other thing as well is that a lot of people get disheartened when they get rim blocked, right? That's actually a better miss than it
Yep.
getting back rim most of the time because it shows you're trying to push the ball down and into the rim, right? Whereas if you're back rimming constantly, that can be a sign that you're not flicking your fingers down and trying to push the ball down into the rim enough. So you're just pushing it over the rim and it's hitting the back of the rim constantly. So that is actually a worse miss than getting rim blocked, even though rim blocking feels worse and it almost feels demoralizing. But in a sense, it's actually
It is,
a better miss.
especially like, yeah, and especially like, I remember Jordan Kilgannon talking about this. He said like if you get rim stuff and like say my arm is the rim, this is the ball. If you get rim stuff like on top of the rim like this, that is like a really good miss because that's like that means you're actually trying to bring the ball down. And you do have a really good point. Rim stuffs look really, yeah, it's really demoralizing and it looks embarrassing, but it means that you're practicing the right thing. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts on this, Tom?
Or on trying to not get back rimmed, ideally.
Yeah. Yeah. And like someone hitting their first dunk.
Yeah, I feel like it's literally a thing we see time and time again, especially like where we go dunking. People might be on the other courts trying to dunk, and there's like so many people that can get easily like there on their hand, like above the rim, easily, but they can't dunk. Whereas, I mean, I'd argue you could only like be touching there on the ring, and you could probably
Yeah.
dunk.
Yeah, you can dunk. You can dunk. And
Yeah, the thing is like you could probably windmill if you
and
had.
I've literally like I've shown guys in like in our dunk sessions, I've literally like guys that are missing that are at that point. I go up and do a dunk, right? Where only my fingertips are above the rim and I show them, look, I'm dunking with just my fingertips above the rim. Same level you're at, right? You just saw me do it, right? You can absolutely do it as well. It's literally just all technique, right? And obviously, like when I show them, it's not the hardest, most flashy dunk, but it's still a dunk, all right? And I think it really helps someone to like see that too, because a lot of people actually don't even realize that that's possible. A lot of people have the idea in their head that they need to have their whole hand above the rim, which is just false. It's not. It's not true. You can dunk with just your fingers above the rim.
Sure. Like your first windmill, Austin.
Yeah, or like
Oh, crazy.
yeah, no, like literally the stars aligned, everything was perfect. And that's why I didn't hit it for like months and months after because I couldn't replicate that technique of flicking the fingers down and rolling the ball up into my fingertips and all that. Like I was helping Hack, one of our athletes, on Wednesday. He came over my house, did a low rim session, and a big struggle of his is hitting two-handers. And the same thing with two-handers, like you don't need your whole hand above the rim. You can literally roll the ball up into your fingertips, flick your fingers down, and hit a two-hander, right? You don't need your whole hand above the rim, and that's literally all technique, all finishing uh technique there. All right. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
But
And
Jacob,
that's, yeah, go on.
I was going to
What's
ask
up?
you, what are your goals before the end of the year for dunking?
Um, well, number one is to get healthy.
Yeah.
Um, because Achilles pain, knee pain, back pain, all that stuff. It holds you back a lot. So first and foremost, stay healthy. Um, at my school right now, we recently made like a dunk club. So it's like every Saturdays we go do dunk sessions in the gym, and then every Tuesdays we go low rip. Um, so because now I have like a group of people that I can dunk with like really regularly, I'm for sure motivated. So I guess also on like a taller rim, I want to definitely hit a handoff one-hander and then hopefully a double up X by the end. Um, I probably won't count them unless if they're like 910, the rim is 910 and a half and above.
Yeah.
But if I can also, but there's like this one rim in the gym that's like 9.8 and a half here. If I can hit it on there, like I'll still be incredibly happy, but I probably won't count them since I feel like that's a little bit on the lower side. Um, but though if I could get those two dunks, that would be really sick. And but I think yeah, mainly to stay healthy.
That is key. That is key. Health comes first before performance.
Mhm.
Us dunkers, man, we got to constantly remind ourselves that, hey. Yeah, it's a struggle. Even even myself, like I struggle with that sometimes because all you want to do is dunk. So
Yeah. Mhm.
I swear,
yeah, well,
we have this group chat that Jacob and I are in on Instagram. It's just like some random, I don't know, it's like dunk camp one or something like that. I remember reading
Oh
a
yeah, yeah, yeah.
currently rehabbing. I think it was your knee or something. And you're like, oh yeah, I can't dunk. And then I swear, like a day later, you're like, oops, guys, accidentally just had a 6 hour low rim session. I'm just like, oh damn.
wait, 6 hours.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I still have, dude. That's why literally I'm like now I'm trying to discipline myself so hard to not bring my basketball and my hoop shoes to the gym now because I know that whenever I do that, I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna warm up by shooting around. I just end up low rimming for like 5 to 6 hours because it's like I have all these dunk ideas I want to do on a low rim, and I'm like, okay, I tried it once, and I'm like, okay, I think that I can get this today. So I'm just like trying it like over and over again, and that's how it ends up being like a long session.
There's actually
So now I'm just like, what?
no, go on.
So now I'm like trying to discipline myself to like not do crazy long dunk sessions because it's not good for my health. That's why my Achilles felt so messed up over the summer. And I feel like why I got like so fatigued and like I got like a really bad ankle roll literally like a week before dunk camp. I feel like just doing dunk sessions for that long every single day is just not good.
No, absolutely not. But like you brought up a key point there.
Like I know that like whoever's listening to this, all right, like I know I have done ridiculously long dunk sessions, especially when I was like 15, 16, 17, when I was dunking for 6 to 9 hours a day. Um, would I recommend you guys to do that? Definitely not, because that's overtraining. And back when I was like 15 to 17, like I never got injured. If I like sprained an ankle, it would recover in like 3 days. If I had like knee pain, I would literally do like I said like wall sits for like 3 sets of 45 seconds, like for 2 days, and my knee is like back to like a zero out of 10 pain. Right. Now if I do that, like now my body would totally like just feel just be in a lot of pain and like soreness if I like dunk for that long, even on a low rim. So now that I'm getting to the stage where I'm like getting past like, well, now that I'm like done with like growing and like puberty and whatnot, it's like my body doesn't recover that quickly anymore. So it's like now I gotta like manage myself. So like I'd say like a good amount of time for low rim sessions is probably I want to say about 25 to 30 jumps. That's a good amount to me.
Per session.
Yes, for low rim. If we're talking like 8 feet to like or like standing reach, any hoop that's like 5 to 10 inches taller than your standing reach, I feel like 30 jumps is a good amount. Anything above that, I limited to 20 to 25 jumps.
Yeah. I feel like a big key there is if you guys are like before or during puberty, make the most of those days and try to jump as
Hmm.
quickly as you
Yep.
can, right? Because you can get
Yep.
away with it at that point and you're going to progress faster that way and get better at dunking. But if you're past puberty, then you can't get away with that. You need to be more careful, and that's where maybe just having two
Yep.
dunks a week and then slowly building up the volume over time is going to be key to you staying healthy, you know.
Hmm. Yeah.
But also, I just want to say too, like you brought up an interesting thing where you don't bring your shoes to the gym if you're not
Yeah.
supposed to be dunking. That's actually a really smart thing to do, and that's like a little
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a habit hack right there, right?
Yeah.
I do a similar thing where like I don't bring pre-workout to dunk sessions anymore. I put one scoop in my shaker and then I leave my pre at home because I know if I bring my pre, I'm going to be inclined to take more. All right.
Oh yeah.
I use a similar thing where I don't bring my pre to dunking anymore for the same reason. All right. So if you guys have a bad habit that you guys
Gotcha.
want to break and you're trying to break a habit,
Sleep.
remove the object or thing from your environment and it's going to be so much easier. It's like if you're trying to not eat junk food, don't buy junk food and don't have it in your house. Because if you have it in your house, you're going to eat it. But if it's not in your house, you're not going to eat it. It's simple as that.
Yep. That's facts. Hmm.
Don't have the,
Hey,
don't have the option to do it.
hey,
Don't have an option to do it.
yeah, exactly, exactly, exactly. All right. Well, that was a pretty awesome podcast, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on and sharing some of your wisdom and your story, man. Like, I feel like that was really informative and thank you for taking the time. I know it's late for you right now. It's like almost 11 p.m. So
Well,
appreciate that.
I appreciate your time. Well, I appreciate your time and thank you for having me on once again.
No problem, man. No problem. Where can people find you on social media?
Uh, you could you can find me on Instagram at the real Jacob Youn. That's where you'll find a lot of my dunking content. Also with the ever since I moved down here to Florida, I've started and we've been dunking with groups of people. You can follow us at Florida Dunkers on Instagram, and that'll highlight a lot of the group sessions that we do together. And that's on Instagram.
No, that's awesome, man. I love these dunk groups popping up. So
Oh yeah, I love them too. It's a lot of fun when you have a lot of people to dunk with.
it is. We know that too well, Tom.
Yeah, Perth Dunkers.
Exactly. The JumpX squad down at Perth. But if you
Yeah.
guys are looking to join our dunk squad and looking for coaching to jump higher, all right, guaranteeing your first 30 days jumping higher, all right, head to our Instagram, click the link in our bio, and you can apply for our coaching there. But without further ado, we'll catch you guys in the next episode of the JumpX podcast.
Peace.
Ciao.